Oh, wait. All right. We're live. I'm waiting on our YouTube. Then we'll get started. I'm so excited for this one. So excited. Let's put our ticker. Poor little animals. All right. So we'll give some folks some time to log in. Our LinkedIn family, I just got the notification we're live on YouTube now. I feel like I have a celebrity in the building. I'm so excited. So as everyone is logging in and joining us from wherever you're joining us from, I also want to remind you that if in fact you missed this will be available on replay in 8 different places, including Deya's places too. So she has it streaming. Let's see. Oh, looks like she's frozen. So she'll join us. She'll join us back in. But I'm so excited. So let me drop her out of this broadcast and I will put, let's see, hold on. Remove. Let's see what's going on. Remove. There we go. And I'll add. There you are. Hey.
Hey, I was doing too much.
She's on team too much. It's all good. Everybody is excited because right now we're going to talk about you're successful, but are you okay? I'll say it again.
Lord.
You are successful, but are you okay? LinkedIn user says hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
I am so excited to have self-care strategist, media personality, author, okay? Podcaster, radio vet, producer, I mean, just all the freaking things. Certified life coach. And I said certified. She didn't just one day wake up and say, I want to help you get your life together. She actually has credentials to do so. I want to welcome Deya Smith-Taylor to PR Yourself with Leah Frazier, and most importantly, to this live stream to talk to us about her new book, You're Successful, but Are You Okay? And she's going to break it down for us just a little bit because we obviously want you to buy the book. Some self-care strategies, really to kind of combat all the stress and the anxiety that arises for you and the environment in the workplace. So welcome.
Leah, listen, thank you so much for having me on. You are a self-care guru in your own right. And so I think we vibe in terms of really understanding, the importance of taking care of self and how that elevates every other part of your life, not just your own life, but the people who are in your life. Because if mama ain't okay, everything else is going to have a problem, right? It's going to trickle down. You're going to leak. And, when we finally connect to, yes, we are supernatural in some of our abilities and skills or beliefs, but we're also human. And when we tap into, the fullness of taking care of ourselves, sometimes we got to make some changes.
Yeah, and I love because this wasn't even really supposed to be a thing. We were just meeting up to have some drinks,
basically,
have a little powwow. And, to your point, like me, just kind of what I'm doing within meditation and sound healing and everything, the moment you started talking about this topic, I immediately resonated because I was that person. We're going to talk a little bit today about some of the things you talk about in this book about burnout. And even right now, just in the world today, people being overly stressed out because they have to return to work. And I was somewhere earlier today and they were making a joke. The guy was saying, my wife is all stressed out and they asked her to come in on a Wednesday. He was like, one day. And it set her off. He was like, she gets to work remote the other 4 days, but just having to show up for that one day took her anxiety to a whole nother level that you can't even begin to process. And so I was so excited when you and I were just kind of talking about your new book because it's so
Mhm.
relevant. It's so relevant.
You know what's so interesting about what you said? First of all, I always enjoy talking to you. Okay, um, but the trip about what you just shared with the wife who's just one day a week is because our bodies go back into panic mode because you have to think about it. When we finally got to be remote, everybody got to be remote. You realize that there was another way of working, and we were in the middle of a racial epidemic. We were in the middle of a health pandemic, and you don't really realize how all that stress and anxiety affects your body and your mind and your spirit. And so home really became the safe place for people. Like, even if you were still working, you were able to do it in a place where you felt safe and taken care of. And so I think, our bodies have memories, right? And so the idea of leaving that comfort space and going into a space where you might have to deal with microaggressions, where it's not the space that you've curated for yourself, where the environment might not be appealing to you aesthetically, or it might not appeal to your senses, which is also another way of, having self-care is how do you um, do things to actually feed your senses, right? That appeal to you, all those things. And so going into an environment again that doesn't support you in that way can freak you out a little bit.
And I love that you said that because I was looking up like data earlier today, and the Calm app had did like this 53-page study on data and statistics of people in the workplace. I think they interviewed maybe like 3,000 US workers, and the statistics were so high surrounding those that were experiencing anxiety. It was like 65% said that their employer needed to provide some sort of self-care or some sort of wellness initiative for their mental health because it is really that serious. There
Yeah,
was
it
all
is.
sorts of data and stats. That's why I'm so fascinated that you just kind of tackling this was just so timely because it's not just like a local issue, it's global what you're discussing in this book.
Let me tell you, there's a statistic that I just read. $225 billion is what companies are losing yearly as a result of employees dealing with mental health issues. Not necessarily diagnosable, okay, but stress, anxiety, all of needing a mental health day. And then, of course, there could be more serious issues as well. But $225 billion. That's why, it's super important for me to talk about how self-care is not selfish, right? Not only does it benefit you as an individual to take care of yourself, because when you're stressed out, when you're experiencing stress, the American workplace is in the midst of a stress epidemic, right? This is real data. When you're at that high level, you can't perform your best because you're in a state of emergency.
Mm,
You can't be your most creative self. You can't think on a high level because when you think about it, when we're in the middle of an emergency, we're at our most base place. We're doing just the basics to survive. So I'm not able to do groundbreaking thinking. I'm not able to come up with my most creative idea because I'm just trying to make it through. Um, and so it's costing you as an individual, but it's costing the organizations not just the $225 billion, but it's costing them brain power. It's costing them, the ability for their employees to, give you that groundbreaking, earth-shattering, new reinvention of whatever you're going to do that day or that week or the big project you're working on. And so it's a cost to it. So it's really in a company's or organization's best interest to make sure your people feel taken care of. Because when your people feel taken care of, they will take care of you and they will take care of business better, not just good. Then they can do great work. They can give you their best selves because they are their best selves.
I love that. And Gabe joined us and says hello. So hi, Gabe.
Okay.
Thanks for joining the discussion. I want to kind of backtrack because you've said quite a bit, but even in tackling this issue, what made you want to write yet another book? Add another book to your repertoire. But what arose for you where it was you said this is a priority. I need to address this. And I will say this. This isn't just a book. What I love about it is you use real people. So you have to go out and actually interview other people,
Mm-hmm.
give tips and strategies. There's reflection. I mean, so what made you want to take on this project?
I'll just add one other thing. It was really important for me to make sure that it was also science based.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you talk about self care, people think it's all woo woo, and that's fine. But also there's science behind it. And sometimes just knowing the why certain things are good for you to do will be the tipping point for somebody who might not otherwise try it. But for me, my motto is make your pain pay you back. So every time I write a book or speak on something, it's because I've experienced what I'm talking about and I've come out on the other side. And so there have been several situations, but certainly in the pandemic, that was a huge deal for me. I really had to be very mindful about how I started my days because I did wake up feeling that anxiety. And so I needed to figure out a way to take care of myself before I showed up for work. And the days that I didn't do that, it showed. It showed in a major way, and not a good way. So I realized that, getting those 7 o'clock in the morning emails or late night phone calls was taking a toll on me. And I believe that in the mornings, because boundaries is one of the things that I talk about in the book. So lack of boundaries was a big part of it. But I realized I had to take control of my life. And so because I was feeling overwhelmed and feeling like certain boundaries were being crossed, because you couldn't say I'm busy or I have to go somewhere because you were home all day and everybody knew it. And so everybody was working, from the time they woke up to the time they went to bed, and there was no break. There were no boundaries. And so it took its toll on me. And so that really motivated me to figure out what's going to be, my own solution. And I had to take my own advice. And I started to meditate in the morning. I made sure I walked to get out the house. I had to move my body. And I started to fill myself up with motivation because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so those are three of the things that I share in the book is your power M's, right? Motivation, meditation, and movement, because it gets you going. It gets me prepared for the day. It fills me up. So that was just a general issue that was affecting me. And then there were very specific things that happened. You've heard me tell the story about one day being, back to back Zoom calls, conference calls, like we all have been. Hopefully you've been delivered from that by now. Uh,
No,
but
they're getting worse. They're getting worse. The other day I felt like I had six. And then people don't understand. I'm like, I've got to go take a nap.
yeah,
Like, what's wrong? I just need to take a nap. It zaps your energy. I'm drained. I'm drained.
I'll give you one more tip since you mentioned nap. A 26-minute nap will actually help boost your brain. And that comes from NASA. So I didn't make it up. I used to think people who took naps were lazy. I now understand that I need a nap and it's good for you and actually helps you to be more productive. So write that down, y'all. 26 minutes exactly. And if it's good enough for the astronauts, it's good enough for me.
You know what? When I went to your book signing, I remembered a lot, but I remembered that. And I have been taking naps ever since I left your book signing.
Oh, awesome.
If I get home and I feel tired, I tell myself that in this moment, I give myself permission to rest
That's
because
right. That's
I'm
it.
always going to be there. So ever since I left your book signing, that is one of the things that stood out to me. And I do take my naps now if I feel like I have to have it. Yeah.
I heard somebody say something and it resonated with me, and I wrote it down. I actually included it in the book. She said that rest is your birthright.
It is.
And if you think about historically how much we
Yep.
have worked,
Yep.
it's our birthright. You deserve to rest so that you can be your best self.
Yep.
And so, in one of these situations, I was on back to back Zoom calls. Um, I had to do a presentation. Listen, I want to keep this real short because I want to leave it for the imagination. I want y'all to read about it. But let me just leave it like this. I had to go to the bathroom. And you'll find out in the book what happened. But what I realized in this situation is that I wasn't taking care of my basic needs, right? And if you're taking care of everybody else's business or even your own, but your basic needs aren't being met, then you might want to reconsider what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so that was a real wake up call, an aha moment for me. It's a real funny moment in the book. It's a little shocking. Um, but I decided to share it, even though it was very vulnerable for me to do so, because I know other people can relate to what happened to me. And also, another unexpected form of self-care is laughter. And so stop taking yourself so seriously and learn to laugh at yourself. Because sometimes we get so intense and we think, this project that we're working on is just, the end all be all. It's not the end all be all. Life is going to go on. And if something happens to you or you lose your job, the one that you're stressing out over, as soon as you're gone, somebody's going to replace your title and position or office. And so the only thing that is guaranteed is you, not necessarily your job, not necessarily your client, not necessarily that project. But if the project lasts and you get lost in the process, what have you really accomplished? Is that success?
So James has a question. He said, but isn't it best not to have to take a nap? Because from what I understand, when you lay down, your body goes to sleep for 4 hours. When I took my naps, I was only taking like less than half an hour. And then I felt re-energized and I was able to think clearer and power through the rest of my day. But Deya, give us a little bit of your expertise on that.
That's a great question, James, but it's scientifically proven. This has been tested. 26 minutes exactly is what the body needs. You could Google it and you can see, some of the data and stuff like that behind it, but it's what the astronauts use. So this was a NASA study specifically to see how much rest did you need. And so your body hasn't gone into like the full realm of sleep by that point. It's just enough to kind of rejuvenate you and to rejuvenate your brain. And one of the examples that I give is think about your computer, James. When you have a whole lot of windows open, what starts to happen? It starts to move slower, right? Because it's too much. You're going on fumes, right? Your computer is going on fumes, and your body is the same way. And so sometimes we have to close some of those windows, right? So that our computer can be maximized. And our body is that computer. And when you shut down a little bit, you stop. Not only does it give you rest, but contrary to popular belief, we think we can't stop because we've got to meet this deadline or we got to hurry up and get this done. But just like with your computer, if you don't stop, you might be awake, you might be moving, but you're moving slower, right? You're not actually moving. Your computer is thinking and your body is doing the same thing. It's buffering. You're not moving as fast as you would. Your brain is not moving as fast as it would. And just giving your brain and your body that break will actually help you to maximize your brain, your body, your thinking, and your creativity.
So I'm saying you start the process of sleeping all over again, just like when you turn your alarm on and off. Not for me. I just pop
You're
up.
not in a full sleep, but because you're not in a full sleep.
Yeah, I don't go into REM.
Yeah, you're not in your REM sleep. There are stages to sleep, and so you're not there, and so you don't get to that point. But of course, the other way to help yourself with that is you do turn on the alarm so that you can get up in 26 minutes. I've done it many a time, so I tested it. I didn't necessarily believe it, but trust me, I'll say this, James, try it. See what happens.
Keisha says, if you're longing for more rest throughout the day, I feel like that has more to do with the quality of the sleep you're getting overnight. I agree and I disagree. I wear an Aura ring, and so I'm able to see if my brain reaches REM and how long I stay in REM and if it's the actual recommended amount of time in REM. And I actually get great sleep, and I sleep more than like 8 hours a day. I make sure I always go to bed on time. But there's just some days I don't know. Like I walk through the door and it's just like, to Dia's point, if we're having Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, it's a constant exchange of over exchange, I would say, of energy. And my brain just feels like you need to sit down for this
You need
next
to
hour.
recover. You need to recover.
Yeah, you just need to rest.
Hmm.
I think,
And I think that's the key word, Leah, not sleep, rest.
yeah,
Your body is not in full sleep, at 26 minutes, but it does rest. Your brain shuts down. You're recovering.
yeah, yeah. And then James totally agree with the concept of naps. I'm a nap master, but I'm more or less talking about what's on your plate. You're overloading yourself. So you need to nap because you've got too much on your plate, or you're just tired.
All of the above.
All of the above. I think
Hmm.
everybody's bodies kind of respond to everything differently. And I think in my practice, in meditation, it's more of just reconnecting with our bodies and realizing that, to your point, we push ourselves beyond our stress. We push ourselves beyond listening to our bodies and what it needs. And I know for me, I listen to mine big time now, and when it's time to stop, it's time to stop.
Yeah. And the older we get, the more we really can't fight it like we used to.
Yeah.
Like, wait,
No.
no, stop.
But here's what I love most about the book is that you kind of navigate different areas between setting boundaries for yourself, which is kind of our discussion right here, which is, whether that's setting boundaries at work or setting boundaries. We did a meditation this morning where we were doing an energy protection meditation, and most people think
Mhm.
energy protection against others. No, there's a whole nother layer where you protect yourself from yourself, from your thoughts, from your thoughts penetrating you or like setting you off. So there's so many different things that work into our self-care or
Mhm.
that could damage or cause stress. Talk to us. Was there a favorite chapter or that you worked on within this book? Whether it's boundaries or there was a good one about like handling conflict. I like that one
Yeah.
because I'm not really good with that.
Yeah. Well, as you saw from some of my stories, I haven't been the greatest either. Um, Actually, though, that is one of my favorite chapters. Is dealing with conflict, because one of the things that I talk about is forgiveness, um, and forgiveness of yourself and others, and how um, when you're holding on to unforgiveness, how that has a direct impact not just on your mind, but it also on your body. And so you got to release. You talked about kind of like protecting your energy, but you got to release that energy that's like impacting your life, that's bringing you down, like you're holding on to it. It's a weight. And so self-care is not just about going to a spa. They're like very specific things that we can do every single day, how we take care of ourselves, um, finding joy in our lives, letting go of things that bring you down, people that bring you down, energy, like being honest about like paying attention to how you feel when you're around certain people. And as simple as social media.
Mhm.
Like if you find yourself getting stressed out when you look at certain people's pages because they're exceeding your expectations, and maybe certain areas of your life are not, or you become envious of things you see them doing, or you feel like their lives look more perfect than yours. Like all that brings unnecessary energy. Like if you can't handle it, be honest with yourself. Don't look at stuff. Don't engage with people. It could be family members. If you know they take you down, you need to minimize how much time you spend with them. It might be your mama. Um, you just keep it real, because because if you pay attention to your body and how you feel when you're around them or when you leave them or you feel exhausted, that's telling you something, you know? And it's not their responsibility to take care of you. It's not their responsibility to make you happy. It's yours.
Hmm. Keisha has a question, but before I put Keisha's question up here, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was listening to the Breakfast Club today, and they were, and now I'm a day late, so it was yesterday, but or Friday, and they interviewed Chloe Bailey, and they were talking about social media, and she was talking about how she removed herself from Twitter and also from going on Instagram because she didn't like the way it made her feel. She
Mm.
Even though I know I'm a great artist, I know that I can sing, I know that I'm 25 years old and I'm a woman and I can do all of these things. It still gets to me, the comments that people leave, and even though I know they're not true. And so she said she had to walk away, and the only reason why she's back on right now is because she's on tour. She's like, if I
Yeah,
was on tour, I wouldn't do social media because it's detrimental to my mental health, and I recognize that. And it made me just have so much more appreciation for her, especially for a young person, to be able to step away from the very thing that
courageous.
that other young people are like, no, I have to be on TikTok, or I'm on Instagram. And so to your point, you have to recognize what triggers you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so Keisha wants to know, look, we just got to have a whole nap episode. We can't make time for a nap or a 26-minute break. What can we do to calm and care for ourselves in the middle of an overactive day? And I will give you a little bit of context. Keisha is absolutely phenomenal. She is the CEO and founder of Brass Tacks Collective, an incredible digital marketing agency. She manages an entire team that does work for organizations all over the city of Dallas. So I personally know that Keisha is probably one of the hardest working women outside of yourself and myself in the city of Dallas. So she wants to know, what can she do? Help a sister out.
Well, the good news is you're on the right podcast today, because you have your meditation expert right there. You know, my one of the things that I do is in the morning, and Leah, I know you can speak to this as well. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, Keisha, are you looking at your emails? Are you looking at social media? Like, what are you doing? So use your mornings to really power yourself up. One of the things that I try and do is mindfulness, right? What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is just being where you are in the moment. And it's slowing down. It's not thinking about all the 18 things you have to do. It's being in the moment that you're in right now. And what I do is when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, that's what I'm doing. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm being still. I'm looking outside at the trees, or I'm sitting outside, and I'm allowing myself to breathe, like literally breathe. And so if you have that kind of day where you kind of just need to collect yourself, it's called box breathing. You can do 4 counts of breathing, where you breathe in for 4 counts, you hold it for 4 counts, and then you breathe out, and you do it 4 times, and you will find that you will feel a difference in your body. Your shoulders will be less tense, or wherever you're holding that energy. And I know Leah can also speak to that as well, but that's something that you can take less than 5 minutes to do, not even. Just 4 counts of breathing, just to collect yourself and to be still and to be mindful and to connect with your spirit and your body and your brain.
I love that. And I think it takes time, and maybe you can co-sign on this to Deya, that it kind of takes time because we've been trained for so long to go, 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 go.
Yeah, for sure.
idea of I'm just going to sit and drink my coffee and enjoy the act of drinking the coffee without reading the paper, without having the radio on, without watching TV, without multitasking, and truly just like savoring that moment is foreign. So even in this concept, Keisha, because I know Keisha's a little bit more mindful than a lot of the other business owners that I know. So even in that, I would say this concept of mindfulness, maybe this taking yourself away from the computer and going for a walk outside, letting that sun hit your skin, but just like being a little bit more intentional, like enjoying the fact that, wow, I'm outside and I can feel the breeze on my skin, or I'm just going to sit here and breathe in the fresh air. And I'm going to follow it as it enters my body and truly enjoy
Mhm.
breathing in fresh air. Like we say mindfulness, but there's this extra layer, I think, to actually really enjoying it and and,
Yeah,
and having
yeah.
a sense of gratitude for that piece. Um, Keisha says, I think that's a good point. I tend to not give myself permission to step away, and I'm trying to do all the work in my own head. Um,
And may I say this too?
yeah, go ahead.
If, if you don't give yourself permission, nobody else will. Because we teach people how to treat us. And so we feel like we have to constantly be on. And so, yeah, you might say, well, because people are coming at me and all these things I have to do. But when you shift your mindset around what you deserve, other people will get on board eventually. They don't like change. But when you start taking care of yourself and you actually speak and honor your own boundaries, they'll get with the program. But that means, like you said, you've got to give yourself permission first. And remember, you deserve it. Remember, rest is our birthright. We've been working forever.
Yeah,
Okay? You deserve to just be sometimes.
yeah.
And trust, you already know you, right? So this is what we do. We justify it because we're like, oh, well, if I give myself too much of a break, then I'm going to get stuck there. But that's not even who you are. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to, in giving yourself permission, you have to also be honest about the fact that you're still going to handle your business. It's just that once you actually take that break, you'll be in a better position to handle that business.
James is so silly. He says, I'm about to cry too.
You must need it. That's okay.
Well, he says, Lord Jesus, can you personally call my wife and talk to her about this? It hurts my heart that I can't slow her down and get her to take time for herself. It's so important. I'll pay you. Well, you know what you can do, James? You can buy the book.
Hello.
Buy
Now,
the book.
James, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't want this to seem morbid. And Leah knows this story. I dedicated this book to a dear friend of mine who's a workaholic, single mom, loved her job. She's brilliant, brilliant woman. She caught COVID. She, got better, but she started traveling again for work because she loved what she did. And she got sick at the Essence Festival. She was there in doing some radio work, which is the world that I come from. And she was in her room. Her staff was about to take her downstairs to go celebrate her birthday, and she couldn't breathe. And she called downstairs for the paramedics. The long story short is she went into a coma, never recovered. She was 49 years old. Um, she died. Her mother said she died on her birthday at the same time that she was born. And now her son doesn't have his mom because she just had to do one more thing. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that's how serious it is that we take care of ourselves. Um, and somebody else has her title now at her job that she loves so much.
Can I pause you on that? You know what that makes me think about too? Just recently, everything that's going on with Jamie Foxx and just how quickly it was like, let's get a stunt double, let's finish this film. This man is fighting for his life. Everything he's given to the world through his gift, his talents, his acting. And he wasn't even in the hospital for 2 days, and they found a stunt double. Was like,
Yep.
we gotta finish this film.
I saw a post about that. That ought to tell you something. And the only reason I didn't repost it is because they said he had a stroke, and that hasn't been officially confirmed. But to your point, they gave that example, like, Jamie Foxx, all these things. He had a stroke, so they, allegedly, and they got a stunt double just that fast. And so those people that you're working with and helping to make money, they might like you for what you do. But what about the people who love you for who you are? See, we're so busy being humans or being what we do that we forget to be human beings
And just be.
and just be.
You just said, I heard once, if you don't make time for your health, you'll have to make time for your illness.
That's a word.
He said that together. Ugh. James questions, do y'all think it's a thing with our culture that needs to be addressed? Absolutely. I'll let you answer. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly why I said rest is our birthright, because we have been, I don't want to go too deep in it, but we've been colonized, we've been trained to build and work and do and labor, and we weren't allowed to rest. And that stuff gets into your DNA. Not only does it get into your DNA, physically and physiologically, but also in your mindset, right? And so, because if your mind is not free, you're not free. We were talking the other day about Juneteenth, right? And you could be free, by law, but if your mind is not free, you're not free. And so, if in your mind you think that you don't deserve rest, still, you don't deserve rest after all you do, after all you contribute. If there's something in your psyche that doesn't feel like you deserve to be taken care of, where is that coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where the shift has to start. And I do believe it's historical, to answer your question.
I agree.
Your mama, your daddy, your grandparents, your ancestors.
All the way down the line. And to Deya's point, it is proven, and there's research out there that says this is highly embedded in our DNA, down to our like muscular DNA, that it is
On a cellular level. Yes, absolutely.
That we are highly stressed out. Highly. We don't rest. We don't know how to rest. And then there's something that has been passed down to all of us that if you even think about resting, it's like, oh my God, I can't. This is bad. It's like the brain goes into like freak out mode. And so just even being in this conversation with someone like Deya, you're having to rewind everything that your body has been taught, before you even here on this earth.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I no longer subscribe to the strong Black woman title.
I don't even.
Because it doesn't give me permission to be a human. And it speaks to the question, if you're always quote unquote strong, you don't have time to grieve. You don't have time to rest. You don't have time to have joy, because you got to be strong for everybody else. You don't have time or space. You don't make room for boundaries or to say no because you're strong. That's a chain. I'm human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I want to be soft.
Exactly. Don't you have a whole book about that?
I wrote a whole book about it. It's called Soft is the New Power. Embracing your feminine edge to win and love in life. So
that's right. I was like, let me pull that one up.
Right. Everybody is hashtagging soft life right now. But listen, I've been on this soft life for a minute, and I don't know if I would have my sanity if I didn't figure out another way to take care of myself and to drop some of that heaviness.
Yeah, James said we teach our kids that they always need to be better than other races, and I don't subscribe to that. Yeah, I think this conversation could go like so far down the rabbit trail, right? When it comes to our stress, anxiety, how we treat our bodies, the mental anxiety that we create, not only within ourselves, but within our families as well. And then generationally, how it's passed down. So this is just an ongoing discussion. And
Mhm.
we're just so happy we have a self-care strategist we could just keep bringing to the table. Tell us what to do. Especially now
Awesome.
with career and work. Like this book specifically deals with the workplace
Yeah.
and what we're dealing with that specifically, especially given I hate saying post pandemic, but you know what I mean. Post COVID.
You know, one of the things that was really important to me is I wanted to make sure that I gave real strategies that people could use right now,
Mhm.
right? Simple things like aromatherapy or listening to soothing music or music that gets you pumped up in the morning or affirmations or um, um, going for a walk or taking that nap, or learning how to stop multitasking because it's actually slowing you down and the brain can actually only do one thing at a time. And so just giving people real science-based tips that you can use to kind of shift how you handle your day. Like as an example, data has showed that it makes more sense to probably limit yourself to about 3 meetings a day. I know that's not realistic for everybody, but also to do your most important meetings in the morning
Yeah.
because that's when your brain is fresh, and that way you can wind down in your day and you can kind of take care of some of those things that you don't have to be as on for. But if you're in a position where you can control your meetings, being strategic about that, so you're not just breaking it up and you're on and you're off and you're moving all around, but if you can take care of your most important things early in the morning, then you can really navigate, some things that might need to take more time, so that you're able to use, your high level brain and kind of think more strategically. Yeah.
James was asking, what's the name of the book? You're successful, but are you okay? Dia, let him know how he can get a copy of the book.
It's on Amazon. All my books are on Amazon. You can look up the title of the book, or my name is Deya, Deya. Smith-Taylor is the last name, Smith-Taylor. And then, of course, you can find me on social media at Deya Direct everywhere. But yes, please, not just go on Amazon and buy the book, but if it helps you, if you like it, share it with people who need it, your friends, your coworkers, your team. And please write a review. Write a review because it makes a difference.
Thank you, James. We love you too. And Keisha says, I'm buying it right this second.
Yay, go Keisha.
This may be a good book club thing, or this may be y'all's next book club thing for Brass Tacks. Just a thought. Just saying.
Yay. And
And
I'm in Dallas, girl.
I'm so honest when I say I really enjoyed this because the stories were relatable. And Keisha, just because you're considering it, I think it's something you could take chunk by chunk as you're learning the self-care strategies to implement, because probably for D and I, and for many of others too, there's things that you're already doing, but let's say
Mhm.
she introduces a breathwork technique that's kind of foreign. You want to take your time through it. You don't want to go through the book just to say, I finished the book, you know?
Right. You practice it.
Yeah, and actually
Practice the book.
practice it. Keisha says, okay, well, I hope you want a new friend.
Yes, girl, I do.
Well, this has been such a great discussion. Congratulations
Mhm.
to you on this book. My thoughts and my hopes for you is that every single business, corporation, ERG group, human resources, whoever buys this in bulk and truly gives their employees, who are human beings, the right to access, what to do for their self-care.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff in here that, your therapist isn't going through with you in 1 hour, right?
Mhm.
That you can't get from just going to one meditation class. It really is a resource to try to get you back on track, especially as we keep navigating through uncertainty at work and just changes and challenges. And how are you handling it? How is your body handling it?
Mhm.
How are you showing up?
Yeah. I want to thank you for saying that, Leah. I know we're closing, but I want to thank you for saying that specifically because I know a lot of companies and organizations, they're trying to check those boxes about well-being. And they're checking the boxes,
Yes, I have your book.
but they're not changing how they do business. And so if the leaders aren't demonstrating what it means and what it looks like to take care of yourself or to have boundaries or to take those breaks, then you're kind of just checking the box of well-being. And you may have a digital program, but when do people have time to actually take advantage of it?
Right, right.
So you have to change the culture and the mindset of the company, and it starts with the leaders. And so it's my hope and prayer that this book can be a resource, um, beyond and in addition to and along with all of those programs. And so to answer your question,
I'm
the
so
book,
upset because I swear it was right here before I went live, and now I can't find your book. That's why I was turning around. Like,
this is it, James.
I'm so
You'll appreciate this book if as a husband, trust me, I'll just leave it at that.
put it up closer, Deya. Put it up a little bit closer. There it is. There it is. Soft is the new power, embracing your feminine edge to win in love and life. There's your title, James.
Boom.
You're welcome. Well, thank you for going live with me. And I just pray that folks capture this on replay. If this was a helpful discussion for you, please share this out so that we can not only support, but we can continuously, collectively all be on our journey to heal and do better for ourselves in our careers and for our bodies, our minds and our spirits. So where can we
I
follow
appreciate you, Leah. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and have a great rest of the evening. And everybody else, we're out of here. Buy the book.
Bye.
See ya.